had I known 6 or 7 months ago that this would be the issue we'd be talking about, and the conduct of the Democrat congressman and some Republican congressmen, it's ridiculous, guys. It's very, very distracting, and it's taking up a lot of bandwidth on what otherwise should be very, very important significance to the future of the United States. Okay, you're seeing right now today. I saw the report that our cumulative trade deficit is somewhat has gone down significantly. Not significantly, but it's gone down each and every month since Trump's been in office. This is a good thing. This is improving our economy. Can you guys think about what $1 trillion investment does to any country, let alone the United States? And Saudi Arabia invested that in the United States, or at least promised to, just yesterday. On top of that, you also have the non-NATO ally strategic military alliance between the two countries, between the United States and Saudi Arabia. Okay. Again, a lot of you have questions. Why are we partnering up with the Gulf states, which many of you may seem as a hotbed for financing Islamic terror in the region and throughout the world? Well, I would agree with you up until a certain point. I have seen, if you remember in Trump's first term, his first trip was to Saudi Arabia. Guys, having Saudi Arabia as an ally, it's not that we want to replicate anything about their culture in this country. That's not the point here. And that's the problem, is a lot of people can't get past the window dressing. We have unsavory allies all over the world, guys, whether they're in the Gulf states, Central Asia, Europe. Okay? Look, because a lot of these Western European monarchies that were forced into an alliance with the EU, with NATO, many of them EU countries, because they look like us, some of them speak English, some of they're Christian nations. You might think we have more in common with them. Look at the destruction Germany's done to the world in the last 120 years. Why are we cutting Germany slack because they're blonde hair, blue-eyed Aryan? All right. Millions of people have died because of the shit that Germany has started in the 20th century and even in the 19th century. If you look at the Prussian Empire of the late 1800s, okay, the Germanic people have been troublemakers on this planet for a very, very long time. Okay, they're troublemakers. Even the Romans had problems with them 1600 years ago, when they were like cannibalistic barbarians. So we cut a lot of slack to Europe, and we're forced into these alliances with them. They don't pull their own weight. You're seeing it on full display with Ukraine versus Russia. All right. And then we're making these transactional relationships with Saudi Arabia that could buy and sell Germany 100 times over, and people have a problem with it. Very, very strange. The best outcome for the United States, my friends, is that we have a good ally. Again, culturally, we're nothing like them, but we have Saudi Arabia as an ally. Okay, what does that do? That neutralizes Iran completely, and it also neutralizes any other country like Russia, Turkey, Syria propping up Iran in any significant way. Do you remember last July when everybody said Trump was going to start World War III over bombing the Iran nuclear sites? Well, it's let's see, it's, what is it, November 19th? And I still don't see World War III going on, guys. I don't see the Russians bringing up Iran. I don't see the Chinese bringing up Iran. So that was a dead ass argument. Okay. By the way, everybody's favorite congressperson, Marjorie Trader Greene, she was also, couldn't wait to tell anybody who would listen to her that she disagreed with President Trump's foreign policy exploits in Iran. Well, she was wrong about that. She has a track record of being wrong about a lot of things, doesn't she? We'll get to her in a minute, guys. Gemini, how are you, by the way?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for riding shotgun. This will be another short one like
Absolutely.
yesterday,
Okay.
guys. You guys are awesome. Appreciate it. Sorry I can't do a longer space, but its schedule's messed up this week for me. So I appreciate you all, by the way. So when I opened the space up, I made the statement that I do believe the Epstein distraction and division is going to be, unfortunately, as distracting for the Trump agenda and the Republican Party and really the people of America as the pandemic was. I really see it going that way. Several reasons. The first reason is just like with all hoaxes, you have willing, useful idiots on both sides. So it's basically all of the Democrats and a handful of Republicans making it about themselves. Okay. Fundraising off of it. I have virtually no respect for anybody in Congress right now, guys. Both sides of the aisle. Okay, so you've got that situation. That's why it won't go away. Number two, the Democrats' agenda. They have nothing to sell the American people in opposition to President Trump going into the midterms other than uh, the Epstein situation. So there's going to be a very limited number of times that yours truly is going to continue talking about Epstein because I'm not going to feed the beast. I'm not going to feed that beast. You guys can absolutely do what you want on this app, but I will not be talking about this anymore because I'm not validating the this story, which I don't think anybody knows the first thing about. And how can you? Because everything the Democrats are releasing has black lines over it. In other words, redacted. So you don't know what's going on. You have an idea of what's going on, but you don't know the whole story. So generally speaking, when I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't comment on it. And I don't get so passionate about it that I'm going to obsess about it and second guess things. And I can promise you guys, there's somebody like all of you that spends a lot of time looking at advanced polling. Trust me, I have memberships to many of these websites. It's very easy to do. Um, People off your political social media circle don't give a shit about Epstein. Okay, one way or another, they might have strong feelings. It's not reflected in what's going on in their everyday life. And really, when you're having like trying to have like a semi high IQ political conversation with people on a X or anywhere else, it's best to no, put yourselves into the shoes of your fellow Americans and not what you feel passionate about because you're just one vote out there, guys. I hate to say it, red state, blue state, purple state, you're just one vote. And I'm trying to take the pulse of the people in my state, in my community. It's very easy to do because it's a sparsely populated area. This is not on anybody's agenda right now. And if you tell them about the vote yesterday and how 3 Republicans abstained from voting to censure Stacey Plunkett or whatever her name is, they'll just roll their eyes and say that's Congress being Congress. Now, many of you think, well, these people should know more. They should be engaged, and that's the problem. Is people aren't political. That's why bad stuff happens to us. Uh, that's great, guys. I'm not an evangelist. I'm not going to tell people. I'll always tell people they should vote. I'm not going to tell them how they should vote and what they should feel about certain issues. And like yesterday was so much. I completely see, guys, why the president's so frustrated with people because this administration, guys, it's again my background prior to my current career was in economics, guys. At least the theory of it, and I can tell you guys what he has done to this economy in terms of investments, uh, and basically a long term investment in the American worker. It's amazing, guys. That with the one big beautiful bill, a tax cut for the middle class like no other. And here we are talking about Marjorie Trader Green, and I'm guilty of it too. But like I said, my guilt has a shelf life because I'm not going to continue to talk about this anymore. Thomas Masshole, et cetera, et cetera. And we're allowing these inept people in Congress to hijack our news cycle. And it's a guy, somebody I want you guys to start following that I really never agree with. And he is no fan of Trump. He's a leftist journalist named Michael Tracy. You might know him because he was on Tucker a few times when Tucker was on Fox. He used to go in Mario's old spaces back in 2023 and 2024. He, for a leftist, he's somewhat tolerable. And one thing I've always liked about Michael Tracy, even though I don't agree with him, is that guy can smell bullshit and detect bullshit. And he's got a really good bullshit detector. And he was at Capitol Hill yesterday trying to get information out of some of these Epstein victims or victims of the island or what have you. And I got to tell you, this guy who is absolutely no fan of Trump or the Republican Party, and he's look at his post the last 36 hours, guys. He's basically coming up with the same conclusion about these victims that I am. This circle is not squaring, and vice versa. There is something that is not right about whenever you have a gaggle of reporters, as they say, around Massey, Ro Khanna, Marjorie Trader Green, and these women. And these women, and listen, when you hear that they're well coached or that they are, they seem like it's scripted, don't read too much into that, guys, because they are being handled by lawyers and public relations people. So they are going to sound a little bit scripted because they've been coached. All right. So it's not even that. But when you've got leftist journalists that are questioning the validity of what is being presented to you, and, we can't sit around and shit on Massey and Marjorie Trader Green and expect that the women that they are fighting for, advocating for, that everything that you're seeing is authentic. I don't understand that. Why are they allowing these false actor GOP politicians to speak for them? It would do a lot for their credibility because they seem like they're being used right now, guys, for political optics. And if for the victims, the women that were mistreated and abused by these sickos, I feel really bad for them, the ones that want to stay private, because they're not being well represented by our shitty politicians in Congress and whatever PR firm they've employed. They look terrible. Anyway, let me pause here. Summer, how are you? Go ahead.
Oh, I'm good. I have a question. I don't know if you've already talked about this, but one of the things that's really bothering me about this whole situation with Epstein is that these girls finally have a platform. Why aren't they naming names? And if they really have shit on people, again, they've already been paid. Like these girls have gotten paid. So I absolutely can't stand this because it's like dangling once again a piece of chicken over someone's head and expecting them to sit there and not try to bite it. And it doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't know if you have an opinion on that, but it just isn't good. It doesn't look good. It's very, like, to me, I'm like, okay, so these girls have nothing. Why aren't they naming it? Is it because they have a gag order? Well, they can't because they wouldn't be out there in front doing what they're doing. Fucking name names. Say who these people are. I don't care who they are. Even if it's Trump, say their names. Why aren't they? So what's your opinion on that? And if you already discussed that, I apologize. X still doesn't give me alerts when your space starts, even though I hit reminder, it doesn't remind me. So let me know if you hit on that, but I am very curious what you think about that.
No, Summer, no worries there. I kind of did, but I'm happy to revisit it. Here's the problem: is a guy like me who has an open mind about these things. when I don't know what to believe anymore, that's a problem for these women because I don't know what to believe anymore. I believe in everything that happened on Epstein's Island. I do because I've done the homework and research over the years, even before this became known, that I know exactly what was. Well, I don't know exactly. I don't want to know exactly. It was demonic shit that was going on there. But the problem is between Marjorie Trader Green and Massey, who's emasculating himself by the moment. By the way, we'll get to him in a second. Uh, what I'm seeing is a lot of Me Too stuff and believe all women stuff. And when you have a guy like me who's very open-minded, even though I am not a harsh critic of our president, never will be, because I happen to agree with what he's doing a lot, right? So why am I going to sit around and criticize him? I don't need him to get 100 on the exam. I need him to get a 93. That'll make my life and your life and our children's lives a lot easier. I don't care that he fucks up sometimes. Raise your hand if you're perfect in here. Okay.
Well, if Chase was here, he'd raise his hand.
Oh no, that's he would only raise his hand as I would if for guys that like dudes, raise your hand, and he would raise his hand. He would misinterpret that summer. But that notwithstanding, I would say that these women that are on Capitol Hill, especially the brunette lady that looked to be in her 30s or early 40s yesterday, where she basically said that this is, without actually saying it, it's Trump's fault that this is happening. That's where you lose a lot of credibility with an open-minded person like me, because you're making this very, very political. And Summer, like, the work you do with women is this anonymity, and there's no difference between a quote unquote nameless young girl that's trafficked over the border from Mexico into Texas. Their trauma and their suffering at the hands of an abuser is no less valid than an Epstein victim. And there are, sadly, millions of young women and possibly young men that have that same story to tell. So there's no difference between a nameless 12-year-old child from Guatemala that gets trafficked over our border under Biden than the late Virginia Guffrey. All right. That's where I'm at. And the problem is this has been sensationalized now. And you're getting less and less people finding it believable. And by the way, if you are in any way working or somehow connected, whether it's through a nonprofit or through a private company involved in getting these Epstein victims testimony out there, I'm going to give you my unsolicited opinion. The minute our United States Congress people touch this, it's completely fucked up because they fuck everything up. And that includes Massey, Trader Green, Ro Khanna, the Democrat. All of them have dropped the ball on this, on these victims. And if I was in the if I had a public relations outfit or firm, the first thing I would say is get these women the hell away from these politicians. The last place they should be is on Capitol Hill. Okay? So.
Well, yeah, they're being, that's the thing. 100% they are. And you're right. I mean, we don't even know how many people were trafficked over the last 4 years coming into this country. And I by no means will ever, ever take away from what those girls went through. But if they can't see by now that this has been, like you said, sensationalized, politicized, used for certain people's gain to make a shit ton of money, they're exploiting them again. Like, what people don't understand is having to go through that over and over, and then to be up there paraded around, you're still exploiting them. And as somebody that fights this every single day, Like, it breaks my heart. And I know that, again, these are victims of severe trauma. They're not always thinking clearly. And that is not to say anything negative about them. It's a fact. And it's just disgusting and sad to me. But at the same time, it's like, okay, what are they getting out of this if they continue to allow these people to re-exploit them? I don't get it. I don't understand. And my best friend and I sat there last night, and we had such a long talk about this, and I am upset about it, because when you really understand what these women have had to endure, you're making them go through it again, just in a very different lens. And I don't like it, but that's me. And I'm just not for re-exploiting people. I believe that, that this needs, I mean, we're never going to know the truth. We talk about this all the time, guys. We're never going to really know everything that happened. They've had way too much time to make this the narrative however they want it. But at the end of the day, we have children in this country that still are not accounted for, that were brought over for human trafficking purposes, and we need to focus on what we can do now. But re-exploiting them and doing all of this, like, I mean, they do it on this app. There are people that hold spaces for days at a time about this, and it's like they're just doing it to gain followers and money. And again, it's just sensationalized the topic. It is the shiny object, and people will get bored of it and they will stop talking about it. And that's very sad, but that is a fact. And so I just hope that we continue to remember these. And it's not just, I mean, American children every single day on apps are being groomed, are being exploited. You've got like, the number one thing is girls showing their bodies on apps for money. And we don't talk about that stuff enough. And it's not necessarily trafficking, but it can absolutely lead to it. And so I don't know, as a country, we're so weird. Like, genuinely, like, our morality on this topic is very, very odd to me as a woman and as a mom. But anyways, I'll shut up for now.
No, Summer, that was great. And you know me, Summer, like, I looked forward to this administration because my wheelhouse is talking about the economy. Miss Positive, I'll get to you in a second. Thanks for waiting. I wanted to spend months in space. I was hoping even Mario and some of the big shots would have, like, people from the Commerce Department on, because Trump talked about it all through the campaign, guys. Tariffs and restructuring so we don't have trade debt. And here we are, a year into this administration, talking about the Epstein stuff. And this is why I've come to this conclusion, guys. This is like people with the pandemic. This is like trying to talk to people are going to believe what they want to believe. People think that Trump's protecting Israeli politicians that went to the island, uh, or liberals are going to think that Trump is a pervert. You can't talk either of these people out of that. Either of these two different spectrums. Just like with I'm tired of talking to anti-vax people after 5 fucking years. I'm tired of talking to pro-vax people. I almost don't even want to know if you go to the fucking doctors, whether you're a coworker, friend, family. I don't want to know about it anymore. This is what happens, like Summer just said, when you beat the topic to death. People lose interest. And like me, these women had one chance, one shot to get this right. And the people who are leading them around and parading them on Capitol Hill failed them. And here's the problem. This is why it won't go away, friends. And then I'm going to go to Mrs. Positive here. The reason why it won't go away is because now, like Summer said, it's now sensationalized, A, and B. Here's the real kiss of death, guys. Sensationalism is okay. We lived through Stormy Daniels. We lived through who was that other lunatic that said Trump raped her by looking
Jean
at
Carroll.
her? Jean Carroll. Sensationalism is okay. We can live through it's the political stuff. When it's been politicized, it's the kiss of death. Okay, so they're really these women are they're the losers in all of this, and they shouldn't be. And honestly, they have to have a moment of introspection right now. And is this really what they wanted? We don't know. I can't get in their head. I'm not going to try to, but I got to tell you, their PR firm, their lawyers, fucking fire them, line them up and fire them all, and get them away from idiots like Marjorie Trader Green and Thomas Massey. Just get them the hell out of Washington. Okay, Mrs. Positive, good.
Well, thank you. And I want to compliment both of you. So, Summer, what I'm going to say, and Gadsden, this is what I'm going to say, because if y'all don't remember, and you're about the economy, so am I. So, I'm going to post this, and then you're going to go, oh my gosh. So, Catherine Austin Fitts, do you remember the long interview? I think it was over an hour with Tucker, where she said she brought up the child trafficking, she brought up the Epstein, and it was a very long interview, a podcast that he held with her. And she said the number one thing that Trump did not want to do, and this is not because anything he's done, it's because he knows what it will do economically. And she did say that this should be postponed only because of 401ks and investment portals will devastate the country. And what just happened yesterday, and nobody's talking about it. Larry Summers, who stepped down, who's the Secretary of Treasury under Bill Clinton. He's part of this. And Trump, pay attention. How many times has he said it's the financial portal of this that'll devastate the country and tear it all down? It's because all of the money, and everybody's focused on it's the girls, it's the girls. These girls and the children. Tags. TAGGS is a non NGO that is through child trafficking, still there every day, every minute, every second, and nothing's been done to take that down. And it's through the Clinton Foundation in 1995, and it's still sitting there in Austin, Texas on Travis Street, and they will not take that down. And these kids are raped every day through Child Protection Agency and through these churches and NGOs, and it's through the financial services, and it's there on their website. Won't take that down. And what did she say? What did Catherine Austin Fitts say? Child trafficking and the money is in the billions, and we're the number 1 trillion holder in the United States. And what did Larry Summers do? Step down, Secretary of the Treasury under Bill Clinton. And if you unravel this, this is really what it's about. And he doesn't want it to unravel because everybody's 401ks and investments are all in that. It's so freaking deep. Before we were even born, this has been happening, which is sad. And it's all intertwined through our government, and it goes to the very top. It goes to the Vatican, all these countries, all these European countries, even in Europe.
So, Mrs. Positive, that's a good macro out. Thank you. Let's focus on let's target pinpoint. What do you think about the situation with the victims here on Capitol Hill? That's what I was kind of getting at. Like, because I think it's kind of starving what should be the news cycle, or it's and that is, guys, we had $1 trillion investment with Saudi Arabia. I can't find any articles on here about it. Not on CNB, nothing. So what do you think about that, Mrs. Positive? What do you think about the presentation of these women? Because a couple of them look like political operatives right now. I'm not saying they are.
Look, I know doctors. They're non-border doctors. None of these people want to be out in public. None. And I know women who have had worse than this, as bad. None want their family, their children. They live with such, well, I have a client, she's dead. Okay. Her husband raped her daughter all her life up until she was 25 years old. He strangled her. She lived with such shame. She finally left Texas. None of them want to talk about it. Do I think there is some hurt? Yes. But do I want to go out in public and harm my children? No, I don't. And some of them are paid to shut up, and they're redacting it to protect the innocents. These are families, these are kids, there's aunts, uncles, church organizations, whatever you're involved in. It doesn't just stop with, I'm going to the public and talk about it. It's deeper than that. I don't feel they should be out front,
I
though.
agree.
I don't understand it. I'm a woman. I've got 5 brothers. My dad protected us. My dad wanted to protect us. My brother, as a father, they want to protect their daughter. They want to even, here's what bothers me. Where are these mothers who aren't saying stop taking the innocent away from these children? Why are we talking about that you can have sex at 15, 16, 17? Where's the innocence? If these parents are so darn upset about it, why are we allowing all the commercials, the TV information, and the inundation of all these messages where you can do sex at any age in school if it's so horrific? Why are they
Well,
pushing
we're
sex?
called domestic terrorists, by the way, because there are some of us that have been fighting it, but we're now labeled terrorists, just so you know. It's so great.
I know, but it's weird, isn't it? It doesn't make sense, and I think they're paid. I think some of them, not all, but you don't want to go out there and go even larger than life, and then make that a digital footprint for your grandchildren, other children to learn about that. That's the last thing I want. I don't
So
want a digital footprint of this, but the money, this is a huge thing, and
yeah,
they're not
hold on.
talking.
Let's pause it there. Thank you, Mrs. Pot. Great information, and thank you for the work. I don't have a lot of time today. I wanted to get to some real news too and kind of weave it in. But ladies, you guys are the best. Thank you. And I agree with everything you're saying. It's one of those deals where the problem is this too, guys, is the stuff that the House and the Senate voted on, as I said yesterday, is going to be reams of paper with black Sharpie all over it. In other words, redacted information. What you're going to see is, if you get to see any of it, is going to be all the Democrats X'd out. Because remember, what the DOJ has, guys, is whatever Biden's DOJ was sitting on for 4 years. That includes Merrick Garland and his grubby little fingers, and Lisa Monaco, who was the deputy AG. Uh, that's why Trump is saying this is worthless. Yes, did Pam Bondi make some mistakes last spring? Absolutely, she did. And I'm not even talking about the binders. What they should have done was on day one is say that this document is incomplete, it's heavily redacted, and it's got a lot about Jeffrey Epstein and emails complaining about President Trump, how he can't be bought, how he can't be manipulated, and I can't believe 60 million dumbasses voted for him. This is a 2016 email that, in theory, is in this in what they have. They should have just done that. And now the problem is the House and the Senate have it. They're releasing it, and it's going to be like, as I said, a bunch of nothing. And people are going to continue to weave conspiracies that Trump is holding stuff back because his Jewish donors from New York are in it, and they're all tied to Israel, and blah blah blah. And I'm not even saying any of this isn't true. I just is it relevant? Like I don't give a shit if a rich Jewish guy gave Trump a check in any of his campaigns, as long as as long as it was on the level and could be disclosed financially with a FOIA act. I don't care about that. I don't care if a Jewish person gave him a check. I don't care if a Muslim person gave him a check or a fucking Scottish person gave him a check. That who cares about? What I care about is if they were a pervert and they were doing something completely fucking illegal in on an island somewhere, and they have leverage on a US politician or politicians. That's where we have fucking problems, guys. Okay? Not how much money they donated to Clinton or Schumer or Trump. We're not socialists. I don't care what rich men do with their money. All right? what I care about is the illegal activity they're doing, which is putting our U.S. politicians, because they're corruptible, in a very precarious position where they're not going to do the right thing because they're being blackmailed or paid or both. Kind of the same thing, isn't it? So, all right. So let's, again, my days of talking about this are going to be extremely limited. I, after today, I'm not going to feed the beast. I'm not doing this like the fucking COVID rooms again, guys. I'm not sitting through this shit for 2 years. Okay. And everybody arguing about the effectiveness of vaccines. I've had enough of that. I'm really surprised most of you have not had enough of that. And I'm moving on with my life. And I'm going to start highlighting the actual victories that are going to benefit your pocket, your children's pocket, and your grandchildren's pocket. That's what I'm going to do. And fuck with people here. And, I'll throw that in there. And, once in a while, I'll do a sports space, but I'm not doing this shit anymore, guys. I already see it unraveling, and people latching onto it again for exposure and for money. So now on to some real news. I talked a lot about Saudi Arabia. I don't know about you guys, but it's not every day a country dumps $1 trillion of investment into the United States. But that's what happened yesterday. But none of you knew about it because uh, Marjorie Trader Green was making an ass of herself yesterday on the House floor and outside with those ladies. That again, we discussed it longer than I wanted to, but it's because we had two really good speakers on it. You ladies. So that's good. So look for the United States to be the AI hub of the world. Okay. Would you ever think you'd be saying that a year ago when Biden was in office? The answer is no, or more than a year ago. The answer is no. Biden didn't know what day it was. That's a good thing. Oh, by the way, did you know that the United States, Finland, and Canada signed a pact to keep the Arctic safe and build icebreakers to protect the Arctic from China and Russian submarines that are lurking? Nope. Nope. None of you knew about that, did you? Well, that happened yesterday, and Kristi Noem had a trilateral signing with her counterparts in Canada and Finland yesterday in Washington. But none of you knew about that because Thomas Masshole was making a spectacle of himself. And by the way, again, I keep going back to it. I'm breaking my own rule. Did you know that somebody asked him what if Bill Clinton was on that list? And he said, well, he's a former president. He could plead the fifth. What a fucking coward. Massey. Absolute fucking coward. Cop out. No balls to have an answer like that. So I thought you'd want to know about that. So this is the real news that's happening. Did you know that the greatest footballer that ever lived was at the White House and had a dinner last night with President Trump? His boss, which of course, if you don't know, Cristiano Ronaldo plays for the #1 team in the Gulf League in Saudi Arabia. $200 million a year he's making. Bet you didn't know that. But and I have that picture up above or that video. Greatest football. You got to remember, here in the United States, if you asked us who the greatest athlete is right now in sports, we would give you either the best quarterback in the NFL or the best basketball player. Okay, we can't say Shohei Ohtani in baseball because he's Japanese. All right, we would probably say we couldn't say Luka either because he's not American born. He's Slovenian. So let's just keep it with football. Who's the greatest athlete in the country right now? We would probably say Josh Allen or Drake May. Okay. But for the rest of the world, guys, they would say Ronaldo because the rest of the world likes the other football. I like our game better. But that's significant, guys. This would be like David Beckham going to the White House in 2006 to meet with Bush, or this would be like Pele in 1975 going to meet with Gerald Ford. Okay, or Diego Maradona in 1986 going to meet with Reagan. But none of us knew about that because we were myself included, we were too busy focusing on the theatrics that are going on. I really feel bad for these victims because they have not They're being used right now, and the sad thing is, I think they know they're being used, but they can't get out of it. And that's not good either, friends. This is not a good as much as I'm bitching about the situation, this is not good for well, they were children then, most of them now women that are forever damaged from their abuse. Let me get Chris up here.
So, Gaston, think about this, and everybody else, please do. So, I put the video with the interview with Catherine Austin Fitz. But think about this. People say, well, President Trump's not thinking forward. Yes, he is. Tying the deal with Greenland and then bringing $1 trillion, he will keep that momentum up because he is correct. All of these banks, all of these private institutions, it's in the trillions and billions connected. If this does go forward, who knows? I'm not going to focus on these women. I'm going to focus on what we have to build for our own community and shutting down the terrorists that are here in groups and pay attention to our
Thank you.
schools. Yeah,
Thank you.
because this is
Thanks.
important.
Yes, ma'am, it is. Thank you. And thanks for putting that up. Chris, go ahead.
Hey, Gads, thanks for the space. I just wanted to kind of say about the sports, like you're saying that Ronaldo and all that stuff, but like I don't think that the American sports were that political, like back in the day, like say when Michael Jordan or whatever. And I don't think these European players are as political as what's kind of going on. So I don't think that they really want to take a side. And I think that they're trying to keep them as, like to be stars and all that stuff. So that's like with the whole thing about football and all that stuff. That's just my opinion on that. But with everything going on, I like you said, it is such a deception tactic. So your guys that we aren't focusing on what the hell is really going on. And we really just kind of keep our nose to nose to the grindstone to support and just kind of follow what we've kind of voted for, in my opinion. So that's kind of what I want to say. I just think sports have been brought into this whole political realm, and these people are being blackmailed, and they're being forced to kind of stand on political values that they may actually not even believe in.
Yeah, man, I do agree with you on American sports. They've kind of the problem is like it's the networks that have been politicized, like ESPN, as we all know. And a little background on Ronaldo, because a lot of you are not soccer fans. I'm a fair weather. I mean, I played it growing up, but I like watching football. I like playing soccer. Um, but Ronaldo was actually named after Ronald Reagan. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro. And you're wondering why the fuck does this guy know so much? Well, my wife is Portuguese, so Ronaldo is like their Michael Jordan. He's the great. They've had a lot of great soccer players. Make no mistake, guys. I've been to Portugal many times. He's a god. He's not a man there. He's a god. All right. I'm not saying that with any sense of hyperbole. Soccer is organized religion in Portugal, and this guy's the greatest player they've ever produced.
I mean, and he's kind of hot as hell. So there's that.
Chris is giving you a thumbs down. Yeah, well, what do you find out he likes guys, Summer? I don't know if he's still going to be so hot for you, but smoking like every jealous man, right? So, hey, I had abs when I needed them. Okay, so anyway, that's so. Chris, you are correct about American sports, but that's the real thing with European footballers is they're often legitimately apolitical, and when Ronaldo was born, he was born in, I think, 84 or 85. He's about 41. So he's old for a footballer to be playing at such a high level. But there's, like him, Beckham, Pele, they could play for, from like 16 to 45 and not lose a beat like they have been. But the reason that's significant is Portugal has a political party called Chega, Chega, who my brother-in-law is actually a member of that party. Um, he still votes there because he has property there and all that. So anyway, they're kind of like MAGA. they're like MAPA, make Portugal, or MIPA, make Portugal great again. Uh, and I believe he's a supporter of that party. So I think he's going there because the guy who signs his $200 million a year paycheck, uh, the prince, was there. Remember, he plays for the Saudi team. The Saudi league is no joke. It's on par with the the Premier League, where like Manchester United is, or La Liga, or Barcelona and Real Madrid. So I mean, they're up there. Plus, they have endless amounts of money. So that was a pretty big thing, guys. Like as apolitical as Michael Jordan was in the early '90s. Again, this would be like Michael Jordan going to the White House to see Bush Sr. in 1992, and he'd bring Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant with him. It's that big, guys. Um, Ronaldo has not been political, and now that he's on the tail end of his career, I could see him becoming political because he can't be canceled. He's legitimately a billionaire, right? And when you're worth, 5 billion euros, he's probably worth not almost as much as Trump is, guys. So he's got nothing to lose. He doesn't care if people hate him for his politics. And I know a little bit about the guy. Just being married into a Portuguese family, I know a little bit about the dude, and I could tell you that was significant because just like Messi didn't want to go to the White House when Biden was there, because I think he supports Milei and that movement down there. Ronaldo showed he's got some balls, so that I think was huge. So he did a podcast with that Piers Morgan dude last week that I watched on YouTube. He kind of sort of said he was going to the White House to meet Trump. So it was spoiler alert, but yeah, that's significant, guys. The number one footballer in the world. The point I'm trying to drive home to you is that for the rest of the world who likes soccer, we like football. The rest of the world likes soccer. Again, that's like Michael Jordan making a political statement, meeting a controversial president. You might not think it has that sort of weight. Just take my word for it, guys. It has that weight to the rest of everywhere but the United States, basically. So, yeah, Chris, you're going to be the last speaker, guys. Sorry, I've been.
I, Good. I was gonna say, I don't know. I kind of came in late. What was your opinion of Elon Musk being with Trump yesterday?
I think it had a lot to do with the AI investment of Saudi Arabia. I think that Musk has been trying to get back in the inner circle since Charlie Kirk was shot. I think that affected him because he met him during the campaign last year, and like everybody, he really liked the dude. Charlie Kirk was seemingly very likable. So I think Musk knows he fucked up, and he's not going to get back in the White House because he's the type of guy that has the shelf life, guys. And when things weren't going his way, and he was having disagreements with Percent on how to do things with the finances of this country, he took his ball and went home. So I appreciate his money at the midterms. If he really wants to make amends with the president, he can open up his pocket and write checks to all these feckless Republicans that are throughout the country right now. That's really the best thing he could do. But again, it's this is why we were all busy with Massey and Marjorie Trader Green yesterday. We don't know what the Saudi investment details are, but it seems to be a large fraction of that is for AI. And like Trump was saying, this means a lot of jobs for Americans. But we're too busy, watching our ridiculous Congress people try and discipline each other and try and hold each other accountable. And I was guilty of it too. So it's not good. It's not good, guys. We're really being distracted by the significant progress of this country. And I don't know what to tell and I think if the Supreme Court rules in favor of President Trump with his tariffs, then that changes everything. I think once we see that those are here to stay, which I think they will be, uh, you're going to get people less focused on the sensationalized stuff and more focused on, okay, this isn't a temporary thing. This isn't Trump trolling the world. These tariffs are staying. And guys, I got to tell you, the tariffs and the foreign investment into the United States are what have been keeping what's been keeping us out of any recession, what's been keeping us out of any real inflation, because core inflation's down quarter over quarter. Uh, what sectors of the economy are tough right now? Well, yeah, the beef market, but the beef market, guys, is a long-term thing. It's not like gas, it's not like soybeans, it's not like the beef market. You really have to chart out long term. Okay, that particular industry, and I don't know a ton about it. I eat a lot of red meat. I don't know a lot about it. It's very, very complex, and part of the effects of the prices of beef are indeed things that started under Biden. I can't articulate it because I don't know the cattle market and all that. It goes beyond, like, a lot of people will say, well, diesel for the 18 wheelers is costing a lot. That's why. I think it's more complex than that. I've had a couple people try and tell me it's just about the fuel, and while I agree that that's always part of it, it's not all of it. So there's a story to tell behind the beef market. Maybe I'll do a space on that when I educate myself a little more. All right, guys, I gotta get back to work. Sorry, this was only an hour today. And Gemini, thank you, and I appreciate all the speakers and all that. Sorry I had to cut people off, but I just wanted to get a lot in like an hour. I don't know if I was successful, but you guys have a wonderful day. Appreciate you all. We'll talk. Remember, don't get distracted. Bye.
Okay, so I came to Walmart today just to see if this was real. You see this? Do you see this big box of like cookie things? These? And it says product of India. Product of India right there. I don't think you're ready for this. I don't think you're ready for this.
Tuyas a tu tienda favorita. Ross, Burlington, Target, Safeway, entre otras. We are snuggled up together like two birds of a feather bird of bee.
Okay, so I came to